Le gusta a quien le guste, la saga del Conjuro es una de las más importantes en la historia del terror por todo lo que le ha significado a la industria. Hablé con el director de La Monja 2 sobre cómo fue construir esta nueva película alrededor de una simbología tan importante como la de la monja, pero también preguntándole por qué cree que esta saga, después de 10 años, sigue cautivando a la gente como lo hace. Mira.
We now return to Mira Akien and Contre with our latest interview.
This is a series which is super scary, but also a great entry point for so many people. So many people I've talked to who are obviously much younger than me, the first Conjuring movie was their first horror film. It was their first time seeing a horror film.
What did you see?
Tell me about its strong elements. Why do you think 10 years after the first movie, we are still seeing these movies and we love them so much?
I think it's a combination of a few things. I think that there is, these movies always deliver on the scares. They're scary as hell, and in a really fun way. I think that that's something that there's horror movies. I love all horror movies. I'm a sucker for it. I've been watching horror movies, since I was a kid. This doesn't play to the gore hounds. It's kind of like this great entry into the horror genre. I think it's also, these are stories that have great characters. There's a lot of heart in these stories, and that makes the scares even more powerful because you care for the characters. And I think the last element is the element of faith. Faith plays a very strong part in this, both for good and for bad. It's the power of faith and also these darker elements which come to prey on that. So I think that's the recipe. I think that's what makes the Conjuring universe so strong and makes these movies so strong. And honestly, what makes me love them and love being a part of them.
There's a scene in particular in the trailer that is the one with the magazine stand. Tell me about thinking of that, because I think it's one of the best of the movie, thinking of that and executing that scene in particular.
That was one of the first ideas I had for the movie. And when we were early in development and the script was at a much earlier stage. And it was one of the last things that we finished. It was really, there's a lot of in-camera effects in that. There's also some very complicated mechanical effects. There's also a degree of a little bit of visual effects to kind of help us along the way. But a lot of that, the basic idea kind of came from the idea of a flip book that's kind of also combined with a collage where, you're seeing these images come together, and it just almost feels like, kind of pure cinema where, you get these kind of images kind of lining up and then, taking a shape. And then we get to see the nun is, or something is taking shape, within this imagery.
You filmed in an abandoned church, so this is the obvious question. Did anything happen? Tell me about working in an environment like that.
Yeah, we shot in the south of France, and one of the cities we shot in was Aix-en-Provence, where it's set. And there was this abandoned church there that it was there was definitely the main body of the church was very old and very beautiful, but there was some kind of cavernous corners that they didn't have lighting on, and we were trying to kind of as we're scouting the church, and it got really creepy. You would kind of take a turn, and it would kind of go into the church is 500 years old, or it might even be older than that. I mean, it's a really old church, and so you're going into these little passages that you don't know when the last time someone's come in there, and it's not like it's actively kept up. I mean, we're going in there with our camera phones, and you definitely get yourself freaked out. It's funny, everything also, it's I grew up in Los Angeles, in the States, and everything is so much bigger here. And when you go to Europe, and especially in France, all the passages are so incredibly narrow, and you're kind of bumping your shoulders, you're turning around with your flashlight. So that adds to it. It's the claustrophobia of it all.
Yeah.
What are you doing? She's standing.
what does it make her so like special for these two movies?
I think it's the power of faith and this kind of blasphemous twist on a nun. I think it's for so many people. I was raised Catholic. For so many people who went to Catholic school, like my wife is terrified of nuns. You know, she had this one nun that she always talks about. I'm blanking on her name, but she was like, it was like, you know, oh, Sister Margaret or something. It was like, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it's like terrified of. And so I think it really, nuns, some really tough disciplinarian nuns are just naturally very scary to kids growing up in Catholic school. I think nuns are visually iconic and, such a strong representation of like the Catholic faith. And then just this blasphemous twist on it. The idea that a demon would take the shape of a nun, that it would use the nun as this mask, to kind of to do its evil workings. I think there's something really great and powerful about that.